Hello everyone, my name is Vidhanpandya. In this video, I'm going to talk about a variation of Yogini Dasha. So this is there are as I said in my previous video that the Yogini Dasha can be applied in multiple ways. What we have seen in the previous video is a standard or a very traditional way of using Yogini Dasha. But in this video, I'm going to talk about a variation of Yogini Dasha. So Yogini Dasha remains same, but how to apply it changes. And this method is suggested by Shri V.P. Goel sir. So he has written a book on Yogini Dasha, and he has given a method to use or apply Yogini Dasha. This method also considers the nakshatra corresponding to each yogini. So depending on your birth dasha, birth yogini dasha, he suggests us to use a particular nakshatra also along with the yogini. So as you can see on the screen, this is what Sri V.P. Goel sir suggests. So he suggests that this is a yogini dasha chakra. So depending on what is your um, yogini dasha in which you are born in, and based on that he assigns a particular nakshatra to it, and then that nakshatra also moves along with the yogini. So let's say somebody is born in Pushya Dhanya, right? So next dasha that he is going to experience is going to be Brahmari, and that is going to be Ashlesha nakshatra. So Ashlesha nakshatra and its lord, which is Mercury, will become active during the period of Brahmari. So again, he has written a full book on it. We are not going to go into the calculative part, but we are going to go into the application part of it. So I'm going to take you through the example of Steve Jobs. So here is the chart of Steve Jobs. And again, you can find this chart in the celebrity section of Astrologer's desk. So we all know that his chart you will find Leo ascendant rising, and they're going to review some events of his life. So now let's talk about where to find the nakshatras corresponding to each yogini. So here, as we come on to the Yogini Dasha page, which you will find under Dashas, and once you click on Yogini, on this page you will find a table here on the right hand side. So here on this table you will find the name of different yoginis and the nakshatras which are corresponding to that particular yogini for this person. So likewise for each dasha you can find the nakshatras, and these nakshatra lord is what you need to remember and then use in the predictions. The first event I have is the formation of Apple computers. So Steve Jobs formed Apple computer on 1st of April 1976. Repeat, 1st of April 1976 is when he formed Apple computer. So in this this is the rotatory chart. So based on the nakshatra which is active, depending on the circular chart that you saw, and depending on what Sri V.P. Goel suggests, so you also have to rotate the chart depending on the nakshatra which is active. So that active nakshatra becomes the ascendant here. So now for 1st of April 1976, it will be Sankata Dasha with Mrikshira nakshatra. So Mrikshira nakshatra, the part of it is in Taurus sign and the part of it goes in the Gemini sign. So here, so after you do the rotation, this is how you are going to analyze the chart of analyze the Yogini Dasha. So the Dasha on the day will be Sankata. That we know that half of the Mrikshira nakshatra falls in the Taurus sign and the second half of it falls in the Gemini sign. So, and this event happens in the second half of the Dasha of Sankata, which means you have to see the chart from Gemini sign, right? So once you look at the Gemini sign, then Sankata, which means Rahu, goes in the 7th house. So 7th from Gemini will be the Sagittarius sign. So Sankata, Rahu is in the 7th house, Siddha, Venus is in the 7th house, Brahmari is in the 11th house, Brahmari is Mars is in the 11th house, and Alka Ulka, which is Saturn, and the Saturn goes in the fifth house, right? So fifth house, seventh house, 11th house are very active. And also the nakshatra which is activated is the Mrikshira nakshatra. So Mrikshira nakshatra we know is ruled by Mars under Vimshotri Dasha scheme, right? So which means Mars has to be seen, and one of the rules that VP Goel sir has given is that you also have to pay attention to the nakshatra lord. So nakshatra lord will tell you the event that is going to happen. And he says nakshatra, without looking at nakshatra lord placement, you should not predict by rotating the chart or by using his method. So here Mars is in the 11th house of gains, fulfillment of desires, right? He formed the company because he wanted to gain money. He wanted to achieve success, right? So 11th house has a very important role to play in that case. So again, we can see 7th house from Gemini sign, 5th house from Gemini sign, 11th house from Gemini sign. All these signs are activated. 7th house is the house of business, and Venus and Rahu are getting activated, right? So that's why he formed the company Apple Computers on 1st April 1976. And again, so this is the event number 1. Now let's talk about the event number 2. So the event number 2 that I have is the birth of Lisa Jobs. So the Steve Jobs' first child was Lisa Jobs. So the birth of Lisa happened on 17th May 1978 was is the birth date of Lisa Jobs. So here the Dasha scheme says the Dasha of Pingla, which is Sun. Then we have Brahmari. Brahmari is Mars. Mars is in the 11th house. Then we have Sankata. Sankata is Rahu. And then we have Sankata, again Rahu. So, the nakshatra which is corresponding to this particular Pingla Dasha was Punarvasu. So, the Lord of Punarvasu nakshatra, which is Jupiter, is in the first house. So, Jupiter is going to aspect the 5th house and the 9th house. So, again, we have to very carefully pay attention to the nakshatra Lord, right? So, here, this Pingla Dasha, though the Dasha is Pingla, it is going to give results as per the placement of the nakshatra Lord. So, here we are talking about Punarvasu nakshatra, and Punarvasu nakshatra Lord is Jupiter. And Jupiter is aspecting 5th house of child and 9th house also of the child. So, and it is in the ascendant. And we can clearly see that childbirth is taking place in this case. Now, let's talk about the third event in the life of Steve Jobs. So, this event happened on 3rd February 1986. I repeat, on 3rd February 1986, he became the chairman of this company called as Pixar. So, before in the 1985, he was ousted from the post of CEO of Apple because of the internal politics. Then, in the 1986 February, he became the chairman of Pixar. He invested as much as $10 million in the Pixar studio, and then he became the chairman of the board of director in Pixar. So on that particular day, it is Dasha of Brahmari. So Brahmari, Mars is in the 10th house. He is becoming an important person, right? So he is becoming like a CEO of the company. He is the chairman. So even the CEO reports to the chairman. So it is about his job, his post, right? So he takes over the board of directors. So 10th house has a very important role to play in that case. Then you have Sankata. Sankata is in the 6th house. Then you have Siddha, which is Venus. Venus is also in the 6th house. And then the final Dasha is Siddha. Venus is in the 6th house. So we know that it is the Artha Trikon. And Artha Trikon is important for taking important positions right? And then at the final level, on 3rd of February, he'll be running Dasha of Ulka. So 3rd of February will fall in the Ulka period, and Saturn is aspecting the 10th house and the Mars. So we can see that he is starting a new role as a chairman of board of directors of company called as Pixar. Invested $10 million in that company, and then he becomes and now, as I said, we also have to pay attention to the nakshatra which is activated. So here in this case, Ashlesha nakshatra will be active, and the planet which rules Ashlesha nakshatra is Mercury. So again, see where the Mercury is. Mercury is in the seventh house of the business. So it is about his company, it is about his career, it is about his business and the seventh house. So we can clearly see the role of the nakshatra lord is very important. And once you rotate the chart, it becomes very, very clear as to what kind of event is going to happen. Now, you may ask like why Venus and why Rahu has a role to play, because the negotiation for this acquisition, I think it took like several months. There are a lot of challenges, lot of to and fro regarding uh, this investment and acquisition. So there was a lot of competition, and there is a lot of to and fro, lot of anonymity, lot of negotiations which are happening. So that's why the role of sixth house is also very important. And again, sixth house, again, we know that it is ninth from the 10th house. So it is the bhagya of the 10th house. So again, very important house. And again, there are struggles, there are negotiations, and there are um, so all these things are happening as we go into this transaction. Now let's talk about the next event. So the next event is about his marriage. So he married Laureen Powell on 18th March 1991. I repeat, 18th March 1991. So the dasha will be of Ulka, which is Saturn. Saturn is the seventh lord. Bhadrika. Bhadrika is Mercury. Mercury is in the sixth house. And then you have Dhanya. Dhanya is Jupiter. Jupiter is in the 11th house. And then you have Brahmari, which is Mars. So Jupiter again aspects. So Saturn is your seventh lord. And then you have Bhadrika, which is of Mercury. Mercury is in the sixth house. Mercury is again, dispositor of Mercury is again Saturn. And then you have Dhanya. So Jupiter is aspecting seventh house. Then you have Brahmari. Brahmari is Mars. Mars is in the ninth house. Right? So again, this event is happening, and we can see that seventh house is active. Seventh house Lord has a role to play, and Jupiter is also aspecting the seventh house. Now the important part is the nakshatra. So here the nakshatra is Magha nakshatra. So Magha nakshatra, we know that it falls in the Leo sign, and the Ketu. Magha nakshatra Lord is Ketu, and Ketu is with Jupiter. And again, if you take Ketu's aspect, so Ketu's aspect will fall on the seventh house as well, right? And some people take 11th house also for marriage. So again, if you take 11th house for marriage, then you can also explain this event using this rotation chart and using the nakshatra lord. Right now, we're going to talk about the last event. The last event happened on 16th September 1997. So on 16th September 1997, he came back to Apple and he became the CEO. He assumed the role of CEO on 16th September 1997. So on that fortunate day, he was running Dasha of Bhadrika. Bhadrika is Mercury. Mercury is in the sixth house. Then you have Dhanya. Dhanya is Jupiter. right? And Jupiter is aspecting the seventh house. And then you have Siddha, which is your Venus, and on that I have. So the last event is he came back to Apple as the CEO. So he again in 1985 he resigned from the role of CEO. Then again he joined Pixar, and then he started Next. And then after many years he was again and then Apple acquired Pixar, and then he was again he was back to Apple, and then he assumed the role of CEO on 16 September 1997. So on 16 September 1997, as you can see, he will be running Dasha of Ulka. So Ulka is again Saturn. Saturn is in the third house, and Saturn is the lord of the seventh house. So again, he's coming back to his company. So he's back to his business, his actual business, his company that he started. So seventh house has a role to play. Then you have Bhadrika. Bhadrika is your Mars. Sorry, Bhadrika is your Mercury. Mercury is in the sign of Saturn. So Mercury is going to give the rules, give the results related to Saturn. So again, Saturn we know that it is also the lord of seventh house. Then you have Dhanya. Dhanya is your Jupiter. Jupiter is in the 11th house and aspecting the seventh house of business. And then you have Brahmari. So Brahmari is your Mars. So Mars is in the fortune. Mars is in the ninth house of fortune and the luck. Again, he had to struggle a lot, and then he's coming back. So Mars, his fortune has to support him in order for him to come back to his office, in order for him to come back to the company which he started, right? So Mars has a very important role to play, and again Mars is also aspecting the seventh the seventh lord Saturn. So those things are also to be kept in mind. But most importantly, we have to also talk about the nakshatra which is activated. So here in this case, Purva Falguni Nakshatra, this Ulka Dasha is running under Purva Falguni Nakshatra. So Purva Falguni Nakshatra is active, and Purva Falguni Nakshatra, as we know, falls under the Leo sign. And the lord of Purva Falguni Nakshatra is Venus, and Venus is in the fifth house. Fifth house is the house of power, right? So he is coming back to the power. It is the new beginning. So he is coming back to Apple computers, and it's a new beginning for him as well as the Apple, because Apple during that time was struggling. Apple was not doing good financially. The company was losing market, and the company was having a lot of challenges. And once he is back, then the Apple was again coming back to business, and then they launched your a lot of devices, like especially they launched the iPod, the MP3 players, and thereafter iPhone and all these things came up. So I think after that the story of Apple is very different as we know today. So this is how you have to apply these dashas using the nakshatra lord, and where to find these nakshatra lord is on this particular page. So here, if you just come to this Yogini Dasha page, let's say you want to identify what is the nakshatra lord, which nakshatra it corresponds to the Dasha of Ulka. So for the last event, which happened on 16 September 1997, will be here Ulka, which is ruled by Saturn, and the nakshatra is Purva Falguni. So what I did is I went to, then we know that we are talking about 16 September 97. 16 September 97 will fall here Bhadrika, and then we have Dhanya, then we have Brahmari, right? So 16 September will fall here. So that's why I said it is the nakshatra of Purva Falguni, and the lord of Purva Falguni nakshatra is Venus, and Venus is in the house of fifth house of power and fifth house of new beginning, right? And this is the time when he came back, or he was reintroduced is the CEO of Apple Computers. So as we have seen, the nakshatra lord and rotation of chart also gives us very fine hints about the event which is going to happen. And this is again a variation suggested by Sri V.P. Goel sir. And again, this book is there. You can all read the book. Here in the app, what you will find is that we have also given you option to rotate the chart, enable rotation of chart. So once you enable that option to rotate the chart, you'll be able to, the chart will rotate depending on the nakshatra that you have, depending on the dasha you have selected and where in which sign that particular nakshatra will fall. And based on that, you'll be able to predict the events. So that's all I have in this video. Hope you like this video. And if you have questions, comments, or suggestions, put them in the comment section. Thanks for watching.